I've been really busy for the last 9 months or so with the Torana, and I haven't really had time to make a video. So it's something I've wanted to update people on, I guess. I've done about another 15,000 kilometres since I probably last did a video on the car. It's had an engine rebuild. I've fortunately won Street Machine of the Year, which is an epic achievement for me. It's one of the most significant things I ever dreamed of doing, so I'm ecstatic about how that all went down. And I've taken the car on a lot of trips and had a hell of a lot of fun with it. So I wanted to do a video today to just bring everybody up to speed who's interested in following the journey. So earlier last year in 2024, I actually entered the car into Wilby Retro Speed, which was up at Wilby Raceway in Northern Victoria, and that was when I had a bit of a rough experience. I was just getting the tyres warm doing some sprints there, and actually had a bad case of oil surge on my second hot lap, basically at that track, at that event, and that took me out for that event. So the car ran out of oil pressure, came onto the main straight, and I just had to kill it, roll it back into the pits, and I ended up finding that it had had a gulp of air in the external oil pickup, and it wouldn't reprime, wouldn't self-prime. So that made me extremely nervous, and I'd already booked the car into doing the Optima Street Car Challenge, which was only a few weeks later. I didn't really have a chance to address that in any meaningful way in the short time frame that I had. So I went to Optima a bit more prepared with some more tools and Vaseline to help self-prime the pump if it happened again, and it did happen. So basically 2 racing events that I was super excited about in a row, they were both catastrophic failures. I couldn't put a decent lap time down for either of them, unfortunately, and it made me very nervous about using the car on the track, as you would well understand. Time went on, I kept on using it on the road. I didn't really have an opportunity to address that in a more serious manner, but driving the car on the street was okay. I probably knew that I'd done a little bit of damage with the lack of oil pressure, running for a few seconds here or there, but it wasn't making any noises or anything like that, so I kept on driving the car and enjoying it as a road car. I did, I put the mountain bikes on it and went camping a bunch of times. I went up to Ignition Mountain Bike Fest with my fiance at the time, with a few other mates, and that was really awesome. That was up at the high country in Victoria. Well, I also did one more racing event which I thought wasn't going to be too strenuous on the oil surge, because it's a bit more of a racing event that's, I guess, driven by how big your balls are rather than the outright grip of the car. And that's Mount Tarrengower. That's the hill climb, or the historic hill climb up there in the town of Holden, Victoria. So we'll cut to some footage of that now. We're just packing up after our last run up the hill climb. So, Stuart in the XB Falcon has been with us. We've had Roscoe in the red MGB GT as well, and Ross in the E-Type Jag. So we had a few more cars here, a few mates here that came up just for the kind of camping and social side of it, and we had 4 of our cars in the competition. So throughout the weekend I had one run yesterday with the tractors. We had a second run, I guess it was the first timed run, but I lost my throttle cable. The end of the throttle cable fell off, so I kind of went about 50 metres up over the line and had to just reverse back into the pits. That was a bit of a disaster. That was Saturday, and today, Sunday, we've gotten up and had 3 good runs, and each run of mine has gotten better.
scary. Oh, jeez, Christ. In the end, I've had a 45.1 up the hill climb, which I'm really happy with. That's 0.8 of a second faster than last year, which was my first time. I didn't feel like I had that much practice or that much track time last time. I've certainly gotten better at it this one, so I'm really happy with that. I don't know exactly what the results are, but that'd have to be in the quickest few. I think I'll probably equal second or third as best I can see in the field. So that's really cool. There's a whole lot of cool cars here. Like, just camping in this environment where there's classic cars everywhere is the sickest thing. It's like, I prefer nothing over this, just being around cool old race cars. The fastest car is this amazing Jaguar Special. It kind of looks beautiful, but doesn't look that fast. It's a 1950s Roadster. It's gorgeous. It's driven by someone who's got a shitload of racing experience, and he's seconds ahead of me. It's just been an awesome weekend. So this event has a fantastic vibe in the pits, obviously, as you'll see from some of the footage. Also, Holden, the town, it's just picturesque as. So last night, all the boys and my lovely fiance, we all walked into town, had a great pub meal. Thanks for that. And we just walked into town from the racetrack and had a great pub meal and walked back. It's just like beautiful weather, beautiful aesthetics and everything like that. So love it. Can't wait to come back here next year and give it another go.
God, at least let me get another glass of wine for this.
So Mount Tarrengower Hillclimb, what an awesome event. Like, it's full of sweet vintage cars. The pits are the campgrounds, so we always just have sweet old cars there. We camp right next to them for the weekend. It's a great town. Walk in there with everyone and have a nice pub dinner on Saturday night. It's just a fantastic way to get away for a couple of days and test the cars out in a nice scenic area. And coming up to late 2024, I got the amazing news when the magazine came out that I was nominated for Street Machine of the Year. So that was incredible for me. Like, what an honour to be up there with all those other finalists. There were 16 finalists in that event. People had talked about the fact that I might be nominated for it, but you know, it's one thing for people to hypothesise about it. It's another thing to see the proof come out. So that was really awesome. And I ran a bit of a campaign as you would, and the response to me being nominated was incredible. The support that I got from people that I do know and people that I don't know was just overwhelming. I've never seen anything like it before. There was just so much enthusiasm for my story of building the car and what the car was and what it represents in the modern, you know, context of street machining in Australia. And that was just, yeah, incredible. It was so heartwarming, and I'm forever thankful for all of the people who voted and shared all the stuff and supported that journey. I won it, and that was just ridiculous. Like, I just haven't, I didn't imagine that would be possible, and it was a hell of a celebration. I was invited, of course, to the Street Machine of the Year party up at Canberra, and that was where the proper announcement was going to be made, where it was made public. And I found that out with only a few weeks to go. When I found out my car was fully apart, I pulled the motor apart to fix the damage that had happened earlier in the year where I had the oil surge issues. So the motor was running fine and the car was working fine, but I knew that I wanted to compete more seriously at Optima Street Car Challenge in 2025. That was around, that was February in 2025, and I knew that I wouldn't have any other window of time to address the shortcomings of the oiling system in my motor before Christmas. So I had the car fully apart, and when they rocked up to present the trophy, I had the car, you know, I was welding on the sump that day. It was just a hot summer's day and everything was in pieces. The block was at the machine shop getting reworked, and I was getting poorer by the day. I was spending a lot of money fixing all the fuck-ups in that engine and dealing with all the damage and doing a few little changes at the time that I'd wanted to do to that motor anyway. So I very, very hurriedly had to put that car back together. I think from go to woe, the motor was out for about 3.5 weeks. And that was rebuild of the heads, machine of the crank, machine of the block, rework the sump in my own way, change the oil pump. Like I decided to put a big block Chrysler oil pump conversion, like a Hercules oil pump conversion kit on it. So I had less than a month to do all of this hard work, from driving the car in here, pulling the motor out, pulling the motor apart, rebuilding everything, getting the machining work done, etc., getting it back together, testing it, etc. So I definitely want to give a shout out to my mate Rod at Rod Built Engines. He was a knight in shining armour when it came to helping me with a bit of the assembly work, making some recommendations, etc. He also recommended Joe at B&B Engine Services, and I've got to say thank you very much to B&B. They turned around the machining work on that motor in less than 2 weeks, and at that time of year, that's remarkable. That is very, very difficult, and I was really, really happy to get that service, which I very much needed at the time. So thank you very much to both of those guys. So it was really awesome to finish up that month of really hard work by taking a nice road trip, camping out of the car, getting to experience the party and summer nats, and coming back down the coast. We camped all the way down the east coast, the Sapphire Coast and stuff on the way back to Melbourne, and that was just a great closer for all of that stress. So I said fiance a few times earlier in the video. My fiance Emma and I actually got married back in February as well. So we came back from Canberra, settled into work, and then had our wedding in Holden, Victoria. We were actually up there looking at wedding venues when I did the hill climb a few months earlier, and we got wed there at a lovely place in that town, Holden. So a bunch of mates, of course, brought their old cars along. We've got some great photos of all that outside, and the wedding was a real success on a lovely hot day. And we had our honeymoon planned. We actually pushed that honeymoon back a little bit because I wanted to go back to Optima Ultimate Streetcar Challenge for 2025 and do a bit of a better job of it this year. So we pushed our honeymoon back. We did that, I entered that event and did much more successfully. I didn't have really any oil surge issues or any mechanical issues at all. The car was a real success. I actually won the thing that I was after. Not that I really thought I was that much of a shoe-in for it, but I won vintage class. So obviously there were a few cars that were like late model cars that were faster, but I was never in that league. I was the fastest muscle car there on, you know, legal tyres for the event and stuff like that. There wasn't an outlaw, so I'm over the moon with that. I don't think that I'll be able to win that kind of thing again as that event evolves. I think a lot more cars will be set up and tailored to suit the requirements of that event in the future, and I certainly hope that happens, because seeing old cars go around corners is absolutely the bee's knees, and as it becomes more popular it'll become more competitive. So to have that little trophy and to have that memory is fantastic for me. I'm really, really happy with how that went down, and it was really great just to see everybody enjoying the event and seeing the event continuing to improve. It's run really well. It's a ripper thing, so I'd encourage everybody to get down there or enter. We finished that on the Saturday, and the next day we were on the Spirit of Tasmania, going to our honeymoon in Tasmania. So we went down there for 10 days, camped out of the Torana basically every night, saw all sorts of places around Tassie, did a great tour through the middle and then up the east coast, and had a ripper time. It was just the best thing, yeah, best trip I've done with the car by a mile. After getting back into Melbourne life, I actually resumed work on this car I'm sitting on. It's a 1980s first gen Toyota 4Runner. So I always wanted one of these with the removable roof. I love the design of these cars. I bought it about a year and a half ago. I haven't had a lot of time to work on it, but I have been doing some rust repairs and a few little bits of body work. It's not going to be anything too extraordinary at the moment, but it still needs some man hours to get on the road. So I've been trying to find a bit of time to do that in amongst the Torana stuff and also housework. I'm actually trying to move out of this workshop that I've been in for about a decade or so. At my house, I've had excavators, I've been building retaining walls and a big flat area and a driveway and everything like that, so that I can actually have my dream shed at home. So that's been a pretty labour intensive and fairly expensive process, and that's been utilising a lot of my basically good weather time in the year, or my free time there. So keen to get that sorted, keen to get this thing on the road as time permits, basically. And in amongst there also, I cleaned the Torana up again, got rid of all the road grime and race grime and everything like that, and took it to MotorEX this year as part of the Street Machine magazine Hall of Fame. So that was really awesome. I was parked up near John Ziegler's iconic JZ350 Ute. I was parked right next to my childhood hero, Howard Bell, with the Leader 8 Torana. So we were parked right next to each other. That was a thrill for me, an absolute dream. He's a legend, and it was really cool to be a part of that. And going forward, I'm just using the Torana a fair bit. It doesn't really have too many issues at the moment, but I have entered for Drag Challenge this year. So I'll probably want to put a vacuum pump on the crankcase for that, do a bit more tuning, see if we can get a bit more fuel pressure out of it, because we're running out of fuel and that's limiting the horsepower with the new camshaft. So hopefully I can get a time to address that a little bit further and just make sure it's all Mickey Mouse for the event, because it's a lot of Ks. It starts in Adelaide and finishes in Adelaide, so I've got to do basically 4 trips to Adelaide to do that event. So yeah, a lot of Ks. I want to be as confident as I can with the car for that, and it's going to be an interesting time. So I hope that's kind of brought you up to speed with what I've been spending my time on and where I've been up to, how the car's been treating me, etc. I do want to do another video soon. I want to put something together that shows, I guess, the technical side of what's in the sump and what I've slowly developed in that area. That's a really big one for me, a bit of an embarrassing one, but anyway, I think it's a decent story to try to tell and share. So thanks very much for watching. Like and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying it, of course. Have a great one.